Hey everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Jake, she was being goofy before we did this.
No.
Say do forever coming at you. We are on the 5 love languages. There's the book. We are on chapter 11.
11.
Love makes the difference.
This was my favorite chapter.
She is really excited about this chapter.
It's had the most aha moments in it. It was
Aha.
ah. It was so
Angels
good.
were singing.
Yes. This is a good chapter. I hope you got a chance to read it, but we'll recap it and hopefully you can grab the chapter and read it. Recap it. So it's love makes the difference. And yes, it does. What a huge difference in someone who is being properly loved than somebody who feels alone and abandoned.
Especially like John and Susan, which you'll soon to see.
Yes. So this is talking about, he starts it out talking about, let me just say some of his quotes and then we'll discuss them.
I say quote away.
Okay, so some of the quotes right from page 11. No, not page 11. Chapter 11, page 1.
Quote away. Tell us, Krista.
My sense of worth is fed by the fact that my spouse loves me.
Aww.
Do you feel like that's true?
That's so true.
So, do you feel self-worth when I love you? Or do you... Okay, we're making a video here.
I know, I was intently listening. What's wrong with that?
Do you feel like when I truly love you well, which I don't always do you feel a more sense of worth or security or a sense of value?
I feel that our relationship is in a good place when I feel loved by you. I feel like we are at a good spot in our marriage.
Yeah.
When I feel loved by you.
I agree. When I'm feeling lonely and not loved or misunderstood, life just seems unbearable and other things seem bigger challenges.
Yeah.
But
Hang on just a second. We'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry, I had to turn the furnace off because it was annoying and loud.
Sorry, we have a crazy little house.
Yes, we do. It's a tiny, well, it's not exactly a tiny house, but it's tiny. Anyway, back to the book.
Today has been a little goofy. Do you agree that today's been a little goofy?
I'm never goofy.
I feel distracted. I feel...
Oh, yeah? Wait till the next dad joke I post.
Maybe I don't feel loved by you. Okay, so back to our subject.
I'm sorry.
Back to our subject. People are leaving this video left and right now.
They are not. They're trying to figure out what's going on.
Stay put!
They're trying to figure out what's going on.
We'll get through it. We're having one of those days where we're just all over the place. Squirrel.
Go ahead, continue on.
Okay, my sense of self-worth is fed by the fact that my spouse loves me. And what we were saying is that is true. Like, when I feel truly loved, I feel like I can conquer the world.
Right.
And I think that everyone could say that. I mean, if you feel like, I don't know, that you can do more, that you're worth something. So
it energizes you. It gives you that happiness in your marriage. I mean, everybody says, well, marriage isn't always happy. Well, if you focus on your spouse and you give them what they need and they give you what you need, then you are going to be happier. You will be.
So next quote. The need for significance is an emotional force behind much of our behavior. Life is driven by desire for success. We want our lives to count for something. Isn't that true?
That is very true.
And we reason, if someone loves me, I must have significance. That's so true. I think that's why we're all in life looking for people to love us. And if you're married and you're not getting that love, you might be looking for other people to approve you. It's one reason why Facebook works and stuff like that, because we're looking for how many likes I got on that. Am I significant? Am I, am I valuable?
Yep.
Do people care about me? But if we could fill each other's love tanks, then we don't go looking for that elsewhere.
Right. Then you wouldn't worry so much about the likes in Facebook.
Okay, and here's Another quote, love is not the answer to everything, but it creates a climate of security in which we can seek answers to those things that bother us. In the security of love, a couple can discuss differences without condemnation. Another word I have a hard time saying, condemnation.
And conflicts can be resolved.
Yeah, so love is not the answer to everything, but it creates a climate of security. I think, too, as we have aged in our marriage.
That's putting it pleasantly.
I think that there is a sense of security. We've learned to love each other well. And so there's a security in saying, I screwed up on that. Forgive me. There's a security in saying, I'm thinking we should try something new. You know, there's a security. What are some other securities in love?
I'm pondering.
So, you know.
I mean, it depends on your love language, words of affirmation. If your spouse likes to hear words of affirmation, then that's what you should give them. If your spouse is all about physical touch, likewise,
yeah.
You need to do the physical touch.
Fill that tank, it's going to give them the security, the self-worth.
Exactly.
So in the comments, we would love to hear if you, whether it's in your marriage right now or maybe in a childhood with a parent that you've been loved so much or so well, how did you feel? Were you secure? Did you feel like you could conquer the world? Did you go out and get that degree because somebody loved you? Did you get that job, or maybe people at work, you felt like people admired you. Appreciated. So you actually did more because, I don't know, you could do a lot more when you feel loved.
Yeah.
And when you don't feel loved, that's where you start to feel insecure. You start to feel like you can't do anything.
You start to feel like a failure. I mean, let's call it what it is. Mm-hmm. You feel depressed. You feel down. You feel like the wind is out of your sails. It plays a lot on your health. There's a lot that can happen if you're not getting your love tank filled.
Yeah.
And if your spouse isn't filling your love tank, then somebody else is going to be in line to fill your love tank. And that's a dangerous place to be.
So be careful.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, you should be also thinking about your spouse. Am I filling their love tank enough to let them feel secure, let them soar, let them
helping them
be
soar.
The best themselves. How do you say that? Be the best them that they can be.
Yeah.
So that brings us actually to John and Susan, and this was my favorite aha moment. We just read this chapter, and as Jay was reading it, I was just like all over the place. Oh my gosh, I was on the edge of my seat.
I was reading it, and then she's like reading it with me, like we're tandem reading it. It's like, what are you
excited.
Doing? I'm like, do you want to read it?
So they've been married, I think it says
excited.
Around a little over 30 years. I think at the end of the chapter it says like 35.
Yeah.
So they actually go to meet with Dr. Chapman, and she drags him there, and they've been married, over 30 years. And she says, first of all, I want you to know two things. I want you to know that we don't fight over finances. And she says, I read in a magazine that that's the number one fight. We don't have that problem because we have everything paid off and we are financially free. Number two, we don't argue at all.
That was funny.
I think that's where we went. Don't argue at all.
I went, wait, what?
Then you're not discussing things, right?
Yeah. So that means there's nothing being talked about.
Yeah. So then they go through their day, and she says, okay, this is our schedule. He goes to work. He comes home a little bit before me. He cooks dinner for me.
He vacuums. He does the dishes.
We eat. Then he goes, sits by the couch. He
in
falls
front of the TV.
asleep. Then I wake him up. He goes to bed. We start our day over again. On Fridays, we go out to eat at a restaurant.
With a couple.
And on Saturdays, we go out with another couple. He goes to play golf on Saturdays. And she basically is like, here's our life, blah,
It's
blah,
just,
blah,
it was
blah,
just blah, blah,
blah,
regimental, just same old,
yeah.
routine.
So then Dr. Chapman's, and she says, I don't feel loved. I feel like the love is gone out of our marriage. Well, it's kind of blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just like.
Well, of course you're going to feel blah, blah, blah if it is blah, blah, blah.
So then Dr. Chapman talks to John, and he says, I don't understand how she doesn't feel loved. I come home from work. I
do this, and
cook
this.
the meal. I vacuum the entire house. I clean this. I do all the dishes. I do that. Then I sit down because I'm tired and I watch TV. And then why does she think I don't love her? I'm doing all these things to make her feel like, she loves me.
Yeah.
So he's doing acts of service. And I'm thinking, and she says, well, you never talk to me.
She wants quality time.
She wants quality time. So we were in the aha.
It's
she needs quality time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were like figuring it out before they even finished the story.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's a love language thing.
It's a love language thing. And now we can actually spot that.
Yeah.
Which is awesome now that we've read the book.
Yeah.
So then she says something like, well, he never talks to me. So he's realizing, hers is quality time and all these acts of service that he's doing to say that he loves her. And he also said
that he didn't have to do them.
That he's doing everything. He's even mowing the lawn because she has allergies and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, then he says, well, John, what about you? He basically
asks what would be your perfect wife?
What's your dream wife?
Ideal wife?
That's a dangerous question, but a good one.
Yeah, he said he leaned forward and he told him.
He says, you really want to know? And he says, I want a wife that comes home and cooks dinner for me, and then he says, and does the dishes, and while I go out to mow the lawn, she is doing the dishes.
Says, hey, dinner's ready. And then he also said, I won't even mind jumping in and helping with the dishes. He says, I'd be cool with that,
but I want her to initiate it.
Yeah.
And
then his was acts of service.
So
he wants.
Yeah, he was showing her acts of service to show her, and it didn't help at all.
Because he thought that's what you do.
Exactly. So it was great. It was just a really good. You guys have to read through that whole thing. It was so good.
That was a funny story.
And so at the end, he basically says, John, I think maybe you should take 15 minutes every day or every evening and sit down with her and talk, because he says, I do talk with you. What did he say? He says, I ask you how your day went. You say it.
That was it.
I ask you if you slept well.
Yeah, she wanted just 15 minutes of conversation. And he's like, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do 15 minutes of conversation.
And then she says, well, you always said you wanted to cook dinner, that you liked cooking dinner. And he says, well, I do like cooking dinner. I just don't want to do it every night.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
he was thinking he was doing what she wanted him to do, and that's not what she wanted at all. Because
so
he didn't understand their love language.
They never argued because they never told each other what they needed.
Yeah. They didn't explain and point out exactly what they were needing.
Yeah. So I guess our question for you is, maybe that would help you. What's your ideal spouse? That might give you, have you ever dreamed of, I wish I had
we're
a
not
spouse?
Trying to cause people to get a divorce either, but
maybe if you communicate that to your spouse, they would be like, oh, well, I could do that.
Well, and before you get married too, if you're a newlywed watching this, maybe you should have that conversation with your future spouse. What is the ideal spouse for you? And then switch it. What is the ideal spouse for you? And figure it out, and figure out the love language that you need to be doing. It's kind of like the book that we'll eventually go through, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. It's 7 deals to help you in your future marriage.
Yeah. So if you are never arguing, maybe it's because you're not communicating.
Yeah, maybe you're like John, doesn't say a word. I thought you wanted me to do all this stuff. No, I wanted you to listen to me for 15 minutes. It's like, I should have done that years ago. I could have saved myself all that work.
And the good news is that they completely turned their marriage around, and they were happily married, and they went on a trip together.
Yeah, they went on a second honeymoon, and they just had the time of their lives.
They ended up falling back in love again.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you meet each other.
It actually turned out really great. And it can turn out really great for you guys too.
It can, no matter where you're at.
You want to put the work and effort into marriage, it can turn out great for you too.
Yeah. I love that chapter.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, till next time, Jay, Krista, say I do forever. We'll see you guys later.
See you later.